Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for Citybiz List, and we have today as our special guest Chris Ripley, who is the CEO of Sinclair Broadcast Group. Chris, welcome to the video interview.
Thank you, David. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Chris, I don't even know what really to call Sinclair. You're a sports TV company, a gaming company, the owner of 200 television stations, a technology company, a media company, I guess a little bit of all of the above, correct me if I'm wrong, and you are poised in this new year of 2021 to become one of Maryland's very few Fortune 500 companies, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations on that group, on that growth rather, and perhaps you can talk a little bit about it.
Well, yeah, we're certainly excited about our move up to the Fortune 500 and being a part of the Baltimore and wider Maryland community is something that we relish. And the recent growth has really come about through acquisition. Sinclair is a consolidator at heart. We're constantly acquiring companies, and we acquired a rather large one back in 2019, the regional sports networks, Fox Sports specifically, and we became overnight the largest supplier of local sports in the country. We were already one of the largest supplier of local news in the country, and this was really part of a strategic pivot to focus on local news and local sports, which are the twin pillars of live viewing and really in the most enduring and most defendable content genre that we as a smaller company within the media and tech ecosystem could have a strong position in.
Can you tell me, Chris, a little bit about your recently announced partnership with Ballys and what that means to the consumer?
So we're very excited about our partnership with Ballys. As if anyone's been, watching the industry, there's been tremendous growth in sports betting. Many states, including Maryland here, just recently through the last election, have decided to legalize sports betting. And sports betting was already a large market. Some people, estimated that it was over 150 billion a year of sports betting in the U.S. Black market, and it probably was. That's probably an underestimate. But now that it's going legal, the black market is turning into the legalized market, and it's making access on mobile phones easier, and so the market is set to grow to tremendous heights, and it's a really exciting marketplace to be a part of, and being a huge supplier of sports, it made sense for us to tie up with a sports betting company. But furthermore, to us, the Ballys partnership was really just one component of a wider strategy to which we call gamification of sports. And it's the for money part of that gamification, but we really want to make sports like playing a video game. We want to have interactivity, we want to have visually exciting graphics, and we want to have rewards, either real money rewards or social rewards for those that in states that aren't legal, or those who don't want to gamble, or those who are underage. So we think that gamification of sports will be a huge mega trend with the way people interact with sports. And we know in looking at the marketplace, it's much more attractive to the younger generation who grew up playing video games and want that interactivity, want the lean forward experience instead of a lean back experience.
So I know a number of the viewers might know certainly Ballys as a fairly significant name in the gaming industry. What made Sinclair an attractive partner to them, would you say? I think I've heard you say, Chris, that you will have in 2021, provided, of course, that we get past COVID and the sports seasons return to near full capacity, that you'll have as a company more live sporting events on television than any other company in the in the country. Is that correct?
That's right. And in terms of premium sports, so we're talking major sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, and football. No one has more games than we do. I think we do over 5,000 live events a year that we produce ourselves. Plus, we carry a huge profile of NFL football through our affiliates, and we have Tennis Channel. We have now over 95% of all the rights to tennis in the U.S. And that's just an incredible volume of content, which gets married up with sports betting. You need that raw material of the actual events to make the sports betting market, and that's what made us such a great fit with Ballys, because we're already where the people that are interested in sports betting are. And furthermore, since sports betting is going state by state, when we're local, right, or regional, we're not national for the most part, we can tailor our advertising and our calls to action and our integrations to a specific marketplace. ESPN, which has a lot of sports, can't do that. They're national. So that's why you don't see sports betting operators on ESPN. You just see daily fantasy, which, those companies happen to also have sports betting, but you will not see pure play sports betting on an ESPN, but you will see it on our channels.
So you've made clear you're a sports television company. You're now going to be a gaming company. I think you would also, correct me if I'm wrong, describe Sinclair as a technology company. I've heard you talk about something called Next Gen TV. Can you talk about that a little bit and what that will mean to consumers over the next few years?
So Next Gen TV, in a nutshell, is the next over-the-air broadcast standard, which is already rolling out. We started rolling out last year. This year should reach about 60% of the U.S. population in terms of having living in an area where there is a Next Gen TV signal. And this is not your old rabbit ears that you remembered your grandfather having, to watch television. This is a seamless experience, which can go right to your television on the wall. It can go to your mobile phone. I think that's the most important thing about Next Gen TV is that it's a mobile first standard. And it's compatible with the phones that you have today. You don't have to add an antenna. And it is IP end-to-end, so it uses the same protocol as the internet. It integrates seamlessly with content from the public internet. It allows for targeted content, so that means better, more tailored, personalized content to you as a consumer. It allows for subscription-based services, so you could actually access something like a Netflix over this same wireless platform. And it is a tremendously larger pipe, so we'll be able to deliver the consumer much more content than we were before. So it will be a vastly enhanced consumer offering, and I think will have tremendous benefit for the lower socioeconomic groups who don't necessarily have access to broadband internet. This will be a much cheaper, much more robust alternative for them to get entertainment and information to their homes and to their mobile devices.
No, that's great, Chris. I've heard you talk about that from the perspective, for example, of children who don't have Wi-Fi in their home and during this pandemic need to walk along the sidewalk or camp outside of a McDonald's or something to take advantage of their signal in order to do their homework. So your Next Gen will address that issue. Is that right?
That's right. Remote learning is a major benefit for Next Gen TV. Also, emergency alerting, advanced emergency alerting, where you're not just getting a little text on your phone, you're getting videos, you're getting maps, and you're getting it, in times of severe distress, perhaps where the cell system isn't working. Our system is much more robust. It can never have too many users. It can never be overloaded. It's from hardened facilities made to withstand huge natural disasters. And so there's many public benefits to Next Gen TV.
So that's the kind of stuff you've been talking about for the past few minutes is not bad for a company that just, I think, a few decades ago was essentially just Channel 45 in outside of downtown Baltimore. I know I've heard you say, Chris, that in the world we live in today, you know, with the Comcasts and Disneys and Netflix organizations and the like, if you didn't figure out a way to grow at Sinclair, which obviously you have, you would become irrelevant. So talk a little bit about that, you know, from the perspective of Sinclair as a national growing media company and where you think you fit in with the big boys and the others as well.
Yeah, so we certainly are in the land of titans. Some of the names that you've batted around there have trillion-dollar market caps. We may be in the Fortune 500, but we only have, you know, a billion-dollar market cap, and so but we're competing with them, and the way we compete with them is by picking our spots. So we are going to be the preeminent supplier of local news and local sports in the local community. Servicing the local community is in our DNA, so it was a natural for us there. Sports is really the only exclusive content out there. You can always create more of other content. We've seen that on the entertainment side. If you are a big, deep-pocketed tech company, you're now an entertainment, you know, provider and producer, and that market has turned over, and it's turned over largely to the big tech companies. And so we've got to pick our spots, and we've got to be innovative, and that's how we'll compete against these huge companies.
Very good. I know you're really proud, and you alluded to it, but take just a minute and talk about your commitment to and your strategy in covering local news on your scores of television stations around the country.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, we really made a firm commitment to have content that matters. That's really behind our pivot to sports, because we know sports is, you know, people are deeply passionate about that. That is content that matters. And on the news side, when we took a look at what people were producing, we found there was a lot of cat in the tree stories, a lot of just regurgitation of the headlines. It really didn't matter that much. And so we committed ourselves to making content that matters. And if you're here in Baltimore, you might seen some of our investigative unit called Save Our Schools or Project Baltimore. It's been phenomenally successful. It focuses on our schools on a single topic, and it's been doing so for the last 3 years. It's won just a multitude of awards, so many I've lost track of the count of how many awards it has won, and many on the national scale, not regional awards. We're talking national journalistic awards for its work in this area. And we've taken that same concept and we've rolled it out to 25 plus of our other markets, where they go and they focus in the community on what is the issue in that community. Usually there's one or two key issues which are multi-generational in that community, and really need light shined on them if that community is ever has the hope of getting over them. So for instance, in Seattle, it's homelessness and drug use. And then, you know, here in Baltimore, it's our school system. And so, you know, whatever it is in whatever city you are, you know, these things used to be done by the newspapers, and the newspapers really just don't have the resources to do that anymore. And so we've really taken up that mantle, and we have focused on making content that matters to the local community. And it's really making a big difference, not only to the community, but also to our viewership.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So we've been talking to Chris Ripley, who's the CEO of Sinclair Broadcast Group. But I know, Chris, you talk about this often. It's you're nowhere near a one-man show. You have 10,000 employees, of whom you're very proud, I know, and the company has a new commitment to philanthropy and servicing your communities and being a good neighbor around the country. Can you just talk a little bit about that before we say goodbye?
Sure. Yeah, this is a very important part of the company, servicing the local community is in our DNA. And you take a look across all of our markets, 80 or so markets, every one of them, our stations are doing fundraising, charity events. They're supporting the local community, not just with news and information, but really grassroots efforts. And then nationwide, we do numerous campaigns a year. Most recently, through COVID, we partnered with the Red Cross to really raise awareness and get people back into the donation centers to donate blood and plasma, which is a critical shortage of during COVID, because people didn't want to go to these clinics to contribute, and really lives were being lost because there just wasn't enough blood and plasma in the system. So we did a huge campaign there, saved thousands and thousands of lives because of it. We also did a number of campaigns with the Salvation Army called, Help Your Neighbor, and to provide COVID relief for those who were most at risk in terms of their food security or their income through COVID, and that was very successful. So we do these bigger programs across our whole system, but every one of our outlets is also deeply involved in the community as well.
Well, that's great, Chris. I think we can leave it at that unless there's something you want to add, but I thought it's important that people get an understanding of the amazing growth behind Sinclair, and congratulations to you. The Fortune 500 is a pretty big step. I don't suppose you're going to share with us in advance what you're thinking about in terms of your next acquisition. But I think people should watch what happens to Sinclair over the next few years. Obviously, a company on the move. Anything else you want to share, Chris, or we can leave it at that?
I think we can leave it at that. You did a great job on your interview, David. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And if you're not going to grow, you've got to go. So we're going to continue to keep marching forward here in this ever-changing landscape.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Chris. I was talking to both my kids earlier today and telling them we were going to do this interview, and they said, well, we're not in cities that have a Sinclair TV station. I said, well, that's not really true. Both of you are tennis addicts, and I know you watch the tennis channel all the time. So they were pleased to learn that that's a part of Sinclair. So again, congratulations, Chris, and we look forward to seeing what's ahead. And as Marylanders, we're real proud of the growth that you and your team have brought about in the last several years.
Well, thank you, David.
Thanks. Bye.